Hey guys. Hey Brad, Dan. What's up?
Hey, Scott.
Hi,
Hey, Dan.
Scott. Bradley. Thank you for the intro, Scott. Brad, maybe you, I don't know if you want to make the presentation in presentation mode or not. It's up to you.
For the top three slides.
For the top, guys, we're not going to do a lot of slides. It's not about the slides, but just so that you know, couple of things for you guys to know. This is our first, right, Brad? You'll have to correct me. This is our first Q&A webinar of 2019, and it is January the 16th, and we are delighted to have everybody here and ready to
Correction, I think you did one last week, but together, this is our first QA.
me and my pal.
That's right.
Yeah, big and we got a lot to talk about too. Okay, so before we get started, before we jump into it, the legal system forces us to tell you not to believe anything that you hear on this webinar because it is only for educational and informational purposes only. That is true for legal purposes. We are not a registered investment advisor. We do not provide anything remotely like registered investment advice. Now that part, Brad, is very important to note.
We do just the opposite of that, right? We
just the opposite, exactly. We do stuff that works. Okay.
We make incredible technology, and we're going to show you the technology here today through this QA webinar. It's really an interactive webinar where Dan and I will show you the product, but we have an area in the chat where you can ask questions, and we'll do the best that we can to answer those for you.
100%. Let's move on to the next slide real quick because it kind of dovetails into this big thing that we're going to show you, and let me discuss it a little bit. So timing is everything, ladies and gentlemen. Why do I say that? Timing. Well, primarily because you've been lied to all of your financial lives by people who tell you to, hey man, stock market's kind of complicated. Can I have your money? That's the high level notion of what people
they are the professionals, right, Dan?
Absolutely. They are the professionals. But you know, I gotta say, if there's anything that is close to professional advice that I've ever heard anywhere that really relates to the real world, it was done by, and you guys should take notes. It was done by a brilliant philosopher of the modern era, and his name is Bubba Watson. Brad, are you familiar with that philosopher?
Bubba Watson?
Bubba Watson, one of the greatest philosophers. He doesn't know he is, but I am going to share. Bubba Watson is one of the greatest philosophers of our modern era. As it turns out, he doesn't know why, but I'll explain.
I don't know why.
Bubba was asked a question. Hey, Bubba, they said, how come you ain't got a golf coach? Brad, I think you know the answer. Tell me.
I do know the answer because he said that if there was a golf coach that was better than me that could teach me, then he would be out there beating me on the course, and he can't find a golf coach that's actually better than him, right?
Exactly. That goes back to the registered investment advice and stuff like that. You know, there's a lot of teachers out there. Everybody that can't likes to teach. And that's been you know, that's kind of been known even before Bubba came out and reset it in one of the best ways possible. But why is that relating to this slide? Let me tell you. Your friends at Trade Ideas here have, since our inception in 2003, always moved towards a simple goal: completely change the way people invest. And by that meaning that we have to tell you to throw away buy and hold and realize, yes, you are going to pay whatever is the normal tax rate for your gains, and stop getting stuck in the the taxes and long-term capital gains. That stuff is there. That's a ruse. It's a mental trick to make you inactive. And when you're inactive, what they really want you to do is, again, to give your money away to other people. This is nothing new. We've said this many times. But in our goal to fully transform the investing landscape, We have actually created the technology that doesn't per se do it for you, right? But it automates the things that must be automated. And there's so many brilliant things that I could talk about, and I've talked about them before. Like, we are the actuator in your car. People will be like, what's an actuator? Yeah, well, that's something that actually makes all of your stuff in the car work that you don't know about. But that is what Trade Ideas does, and we are slowly now getting ready to release live in its full glory Brokerage Plus, which we're going to show you today in great detail. But we're only releasing 1,000 iterations of Brokerage Plus at $1,100. All the information that you are going to hear today, the most important in terms of financial relevance. For those, now mind you, for those of you who are already premium subscribers and have been, you don't have to worry about that because you're already here. You already got it, you have access. But for those that do not, okay, this is the time. We are only releasing 1,000 iterations of Brokerage Plus, which will let you, now I'm going to say this again, it's going to let you automate Holly. Now, Brad, my good friend, when I say automating Holly, what do I mean as per how you interpret it versus me?
Okay, well, I think it's important because we do have, from what I remember Scott saying, we do have a bunch of people here that are not customers and really don't necessarily know exactly what we do. But you did mention that we came to market in 2003, and with the concept of being able to mine, you know, we're an actuator, yes, but what we really do is we mine stock market data. We're looking at every single tick of every stock, and we're mining it for little gems, if you will, for stocks that are moving, have the potential of moving. So we're the eyes on the market. We allow you to not necessarily give your money to the investment advisor that Dan was talking about, but allow you to take your capital and to put it in places where there's actual percentage gains being made that you can tangibly get in and get out of immediately. So for the last...
Hey,
yeah.
Brad. Well, I want to pause you for just 1 second there because you kind of, you know, we're still on the slides. We haven't even gotten to the good stuff, but you kind of hit on an interesting thing that I want to make sure our listeners know. When we say we're automating the Brokerage Plus and the AI and things like that, I don't want anyone to get scared because it might sound a little scary, you know, but please don't be. The thing that I want you to realize, and Brad, just 1 second, go back to the picture because there's a funny part of that picture that actually is relevant to the slide. Yep. So, I mean, I don't know where I scraped the picture of the people in line for. I'm not exactly sure, but you know what's interesting about it, Brad? If you were just eyeballing it, right? What would you say is the average age of the people in line? This is relevant, believe it or not.
Well, in this line here, there's a pretty dramatic gap. I think that the average age is probably like 40.
Well, I'm going to say maybe even higher, maybe 55 or so. And the reason I'm bringing this up, okay, the reason I'm bringing this up is because the biggest detriment or barrier that new investors are going to have to taking full advantage of our technology is one word: dexterity. It's not ironic. It's just a fact that because most people are conditioned to not touch their money because the powers that be don't want you to touch the money, when you get in front of the market, when you get, and Brad and I, you know, we were very fortunate to have kind of evolved ourselves away from that, you know, in the mid 90s, and a lot of people who are active investors, same thing, you know, you all come to the same conclusions, like, you know, but they tell us is bullshit. How do we do better? Sure, but if you haven't done it, right, one of the problems that you're going to run into is, well, there's so much, it's kind of like learning to play piano, maybe even just, you know, row your boat, but it still requires for you to press the keys, right? Row your boat. I mean, it doesn't just come automatically. So we thought to ourselves, we have got to fix this, because it's not people's fault that they've been conditioned to not be able to navigate a stock market landscape. So when we say we automate, right, we're bringing such a phenomenal tsunami-like innovation, disruptive innovation into the stock market, because we're going to let you, the average person, get the benefit of having the software be able to help you and get into the trade, manage it, and get you out if need be. That is the key. By itself, now you're going to sit there. You have to be there to watch it, because if you're not, then you are simply the guy in the Tesla car sleeping, and the police are going to pull you over and then take the car away from you and your driver's license. You know, that's not the way it's supposed to be done. But the fact that we have automated this process, the entry process, that's going to free you from the fear of making the dexterity mistakes. So that's really, Brad, what I wanted to, why we're saying there's this line of people and why we're only releasing 1,000, because after the 1,000, the price is going to go up to probably $3,400. So just FYI, from 1,100, a big jump to 34. Now, Brad, go ahead.
All right, let me see if I can do this effectively. Let me see if I can take 15 years and roll it into a minute. Okay. So, you know, like I said, in 2003, that's when we started, and we started with idea generation, looking at the stock market for ideas, pattern behavior, and such. And we started off with a single window, an alert window that identified stocks making new highs and new lows. And we added additional visualization windows, whether it's a top list window that gives you a visualized ranking list of stocks with multi-dimensional coloring, whether it's charting with advanced analytics that are overlaid on the chart to give you an understanding of where your stop should be placed if you were to get into a stock. A single stock window that lets you dive into very specific market data specific to a particular stock, and also our very unique market data, our compare account. See, all of these little tools that we've added along the ways over the last 15 years culminated, well, before I give you the culmination, we added back testing capabilities, so that that first window that we created, that alert window, you could create a strategy and then back test it, and then optimize that strategy with this tool that we created called the odds maker. And from there, we then created technology that automated the odds maker to be able to create artificial intelligent calls. Pardon me?
Brad, I want to interrupt you a minute. If you can put yourself in a small time warp for just a brief moment. So many people here, have no idea what the hell you're talking about in terms of backtesting. I thought that maybe you could open up an alert window, because we sometimes go so quickly to the magic, right? But if you could open up one window and pull up, not this one though. Can you do a from scratch alert window and just bring up what everybody can relate to is when a stock crosses the 200-day moving average, and also have it be up for the day on, let's say, significant volume. What we like to do is we like to prove our point, ladies and gentlemen, okay? So here, notice how Brad is navigating the software just by search. You can 200-day moving average, add the alert. Now the alert, by the way, versus a filter, and we have all the education, of course, to teach you all of this, but the alert notifies you instantly because, as Brad said, we watch everything when something happens. Go ahead, Brad.
Yeah, so this is going to be the trigger event or the alert. So we're going to select the 200-day. You also said you wanted to make sure that the stock was up for the day.
Correct.
So we'll use a filter for that, and we'll do a change from the close. I could do $1 or a percent. We'll just add the filter, and we'll just say the minimum for that particular filter needs to be up 0.01, so it's positive. You could set any type of value you want. Maybe it's up 0.5% for the day.
By the way, Brad, if you could, and I love doing this because you and I do this so infrequently. For those people that are like, what the hell is it on the half and the 0.5 and what's the purple? Pop your mouse on the magnifying glass that we need to replace the icon for with the magnifying glass. And notice that in every part of our software, we have what's called computer-based training, CBT. This CBT allows you to say, well, what the hell is Brad doing? So in this case, in English, right, Brad, it tells you, show me stocks where the price was.
Well, in this case, we want to make sure that it's the minimum 0.5, right?
Yes. And by the way, notice Brad was able to correct his mistake, by the way, right?
That's
because,
right.
And this happens, you know, that's, I mean, even all of us, that's kind of like misspelling a word, right? But because we have this tool there, you can quickly go and see, oh, okay, so show me stocks where the price was up at least 0.5%. Now, Brad, to show people what happens if no more than 20%, because you don't want it to be like, you know, a buyout. See, notice as soon as Brad's doing it, and again, and if you can just click maybe on the other tab so people can
I think this histogram really does illustrate some great tech as well, because if I go to the histogram, you see here a graph of all of the symbols that we're monitoring for this particular window right here. And in this case here, if I have a minimum set to 0.5 and a maximum to 20, you can see what spectrum that operates in. So there's a total symbol count of 2,832 symbols that will meet that particular criteria.
Yep. So again, just wanted to quickly say that you're not on your own, even when you're in kind of with the hood open and you're working at stuff. And Brad, I love the chart, but maybe show people how the chart stuff works.
Yeah, so we're going to show you a couple different iterations of what this would look like. This is the hypothetical candle that we're measuring here, where it's up 0.5%, but no more than 20. You can see the previous candle and where that would fall within that visual right here. This is the close right at the bottom of the red, and that would be up to 20%. So giving you a lot of different ways to visualize this data in order to help you configure it, because you know it's really like a piece of clay, and you can do so many different things with it. That's one of the reasons why we built the channel bar over here. You know, so before we get into the AI and oh, I guess we need to finish this particular strategy.
Well, by the way, that's so funny, Brad. I love this because every time we do stuff, we can kind of show you how much depth there is in the software, guys. And I know that it sounds crazy when we tell you that even for $3,400 and whatever you're paying, we are basically giving away our software because there is so much dang power in the hood, so much. And again, it's not power that's just left alone. By the way, this CBT, Brad, I wish Photoshop had this so I would not bother you to help me with all the dirty memes. Layers, how the hell do you do that? There's nobody helps me with Photoshop like this. So anyway, so now Brad's got the 200-day moving average, and we're going to show you what it is that our software is doing behind the scenes. This really is like opening up the hood and showing you the engine, okay?
Okay, so what it did was it went back to the last alert that was generated in this strategy. I'm on the West Coast. We end at 1 o'clock, so about 3.5 minutes before the end of the market, this particular symbol triggered. Let me move this out of the way a little bit and select it, and you can see here, well, I don't have the 200 period on the chart, but that's not where we're going with it. What we want to do is we want to go ahead and do a back test, right? And we want to
just do a quick today's history just so people can see. And in the window, if it's not market hours, remember guys, Trade Ideas is on 24/7, 365. So when the market's closed, this is when you, if you are, you know, into helping yourself, that's when you can study and elevate your game by figuring things out without the market disturbing you, right? So here you're seeing how our software is just giving you a historical play-by-play of what's going on today.
And maybe I want to add a little bit of data to it. Maybe I want to, you know, see exactly how much it was up when it did that. So I can just bring in that change from the close right there.
Brad, what about fundamental data? Because surely you're not just simply a bunch of technical hacks, are you?
Certainly I'm not. But if you go to the search tab over here and you type in fundamental, or just a portion of that, it'll go ahead and bring up these filters that we have that are fundamental in nature, whether it's market cap or share outstanding and such.
Add market cap, just so people can understand that, by the way, guys, when we run our systems analysis and when we're doing this AI stuff, do not for a minute think that we treat fundamental data any differently than technical data. If a fundamental component is a critical component to success, it is the component that our software will use. It's that simple. It just doesn't care. That's the thing. Okay? So here you've got a bunch of data that Brad's showing you in terms of these are the stocks that you should be able to relate to, because today these were the ones that were crossing their 200-day moving average on something positive, you know, on some positive momentum. So Brad, how would we know if these signals were, well, if these alerts were a signal or not?
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll use the odds maker for that. We'll use the back testing tool. We'll go ahead and right click, brings up our menu. We'll select back testing, and this is our set of instructions. And this is, you can go nuts here, but this is where you have to give it some hypotheticals that it's going to adhere to. So these are the trading rules. When can we possibly get into this particular trade? And so this is going to be running all during market hours. If I want to keep it wide open, I would just have it at the beginning of the market at 6:30 and give me signals all the way to the end. But maybe I'm going to go ahead and let the market settle down here for a little bit. We'll just go to 6:45. We'll wait 15 minutes before we can start this engine up, if you will. And let's take it back, you know, I don't know, till 12 o'clock. So we'll have an hour. We'll stop initiating new positions an hour before the close.
So Brad,
that's that first tab of the entry. Yeah.
I think, again, since so many people are new here, it's just an important thing for them to realize what Brad's kind of doing here is he's sort of putting this odds maker into a personalized framework. He's saying to himself something like, well, you know, I get up in the morning, I like to have my coffee, and I don't want to be thrown around by the volatility of the first 15 minutes, which, by the way, is the most volatile time in the market. It's from the open to the first 15 minutes. So what he's saying is, I'm not going to initiate anything then, but afterwards I'm going to start looking. And the same reason why in the last hour, there isn't really the kind of stuff that you want to be getting into unless something, you know, again, unless you know something, which he's saying, I'm not going to trade the last hour. So that's the entry time. So you're giving yourself that bracket of when do I make trades? Go ahead, sorry.
Okay, so next determination, in order to be able to validate this and determine what's profitable and what's not, we have to put in an exit time. And that exit time could be 15 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. It could be till the end of the day, but we have to put something in here. So this is where you start your hypotheticals. In this case, I'm going to say, let's be in it for an hour and a half. And if we want it to be profitable after that hour and a half. That's going to be our first assumption, or not our first assumption, but another assumption that we're going to make. Then we're going to go into our risk management tab. The risk management allows me to put in a protective stop. Let's say I don't want to lose any more than 50 cents on any one given trade. So I can put that in as a stop. I could also maybe use one of our algorithms that we have, like the smart stop. We do that with our AI quite a bit. And we give you access to that. It's really a variable that's based upon the stock's individual characteristics for the day. Its relative volume, its volatility, its range, all those come together in an algorithm to determine what a suggested stop is if you were to be getting into that particular stock for the day.
And that's all figured out by the software for you. You don't have to do it.
Mm-hmm. And then we can do a profit target. If it reaches $1 or something, you can get out. But this is all part of the assumptions. You can then do some advanced conditions or have it go back and determine the number of days. These are trading days. So these are 30 trading days. That's like a month and a half. A full 62 trading days is a quarter of data. For the purpose of this, let's keep it at 30 just so that it'll run a little bit quicker. In this case, I think we want to buy it, right? You're assuming the stock is crossing that 200-day moving average. Let's make the assumption that this is going to be a bullish condition and we want to buy it. So let's hit it. It's going to go to the servers. It's going to grab all of this market data, bring it into this window, and then it's going to allow me to manipulate that data in a variety of ways, visualize it and manipulate it. Some interesting statistics. First of all, I guess you want to step back and go, wow, is this a good strategy or not, before you kind of get into the micro data that we're looking at. I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the graph, not knowing what I'm looking at. It doesn't look good. It's a downward graph. That's not the type of profitable graph. But if we look at some of the numerical metrics, you're going to see why it's not that effective. profit factor, which is the sum total of all your winning trades over the sum total of your losing trades. You want that to be greater than 1 to have a profitable strategy. 0.87, that's not so good. We had 481 trades in that sample set of 30 trading days. Not quite 40, not quite, definitely 50% weren't winners. So 45% were winners. Our average winner to loser was the same. You want your winner to be bigger than your loser typically. And then your return. So this is not a very, very good strategy.
Brad,
yeah.
Let me add just one bit of color to this component. And these are things that people take for granted. Brad and I have been doing this for well over a decade now. And one of the reasons why we created the AI is to be able to help you do with something that we ourselves discovered, which is this. Take any alert that you, or any condition that you can think of, human thought process. You can say 5-day high, you can say 30-day high, you can say earnings gap up, whatever you want, okay? I use 200-day moving average because it's something that everybody here can relate to. But the bottom line is, without any assistance, roughly speaking, your success rate will be exactly what you see here. Like pretty much if you're guessing, if you're throwing darts, this is what you're going to get. And this is what people do. This is the end result of your discretionary trading right here. Okay. That means that
it's a coin flip, but by the time you pay the VIG and commissions,
Absolutely. So really what I wanted to, Brad, to showcase here, because I don't think we want to jump into how to make it better and all that stuff, because this is just, the high level Q&A too, and they've got all of our curriculum for that. But what I wanted to showcase is simply our AI, okay, is the technology that answers this question. Well, what do you do? Well, don't close it yet, Brad. Don't close. Notice there's a tab here called optimization. Yeah. So notice it tells you, well, these were better and some were worse, and there's a certain time of day that this stuff is better, et cetera, et cetera. The point of the matter is that you can work through all of this and maybe turn this into a better system, but it requires an immense amount of manual labor, which we hate doing. So that is how really our artificial intelligence was created. It was designed to automate this optimization process, which you can do by hand through our odds maker, and do it all for you so that you, at the end of the day, are simply focused on committing the capital.
I think that's so well said, Dan. This is like this time of day example here. It probably gives the simplest example of what we do in such a complex way. And looking at something like this, you can see that if you are only trading this strategy between 8 o'clock and 9:30, your success rate, your profitability would be far better than if you were trading it from 6:30 in the morning or 6:45 all the way up until 12 o'clock. It does that with every single filter and data point that we have in trade ideas. It does something really that only a computer can do in the effectiveness that it does.
Yeah, it's the kind of technology that, number one, we had to invent for our own software, and nobody else has it. You're not going to find an odds maker anywhere else in the market. But really, the crux of what it is what Brad's about to show you, and it's this is the stuff that makes me excited. Brad, take it away.
Yeah, you bet. So we've developed over the last year and a half 3 of these artificial intelligence segments. I'm on the original one, Holy Grail. It's giving you a highlight as to what happened with that particular segment on the channel bar. But as we dive deep into it, you can see that, well, effectively, let me do this. Let me not talk specifically about Holy Grail, but talk about what the AI really is.
Wait, Brad, one sec. You just made me think of something, and I just want to say it. Imagine what you remember, you guys, what Brad just did, and he showed you the optimization. Let's say you hired a guy or a girl, and they were a PhD, and all they did was work for you to figure out which strategy was good. How much would that cost you? Go ahead now, Brad.
and they work 24 hours a day. There's not just one of them. That's a great analogy, and really what we did was we have the computer, that PhD, crafting and refining each and every strategy. We have a bank of 50 strategies, and it goes through those 50 strategies after the market every day, incorporates the new market data, goes through all the optimization filters, doesn't use the visual thing that I showed you, but it does it all in computer language, and it does the massages and modifies filters of each one of these 50 different strategies to improve and enhance it to what we call optimize it. And at the end of every day, all of these strategies are pitted together, and it only takes, for the next trading day, it only takes the best strategies that have the highest profit factor, win percentage, and win to loss ratio. So it takes all of those strategies, and the top of the top are what you would see the next day. It's what we see today. So it competed yesterday, it did all of the metrics and optimizations, and today I was presented with these strategies right here. All these strategies have a different flavor. They're a mix of long and short strategies. Some are buying long positions on a pullback, some are buying them on a breakout, some are only working in the morning, some are looking for short positions that happen to be breaking out and topping. A lot of different flavors, and we're presenting that every single day. And when the particular criteria lines up for any one of these strategies, when all the filter criteria is met, it'll go ahead and trigger an event. It'll tell you to open up a new position. It starts keeping track of the P&L of those positions, and it lets you know when you should be getting out of those positions. A lot of different ways to use the software, a lot of different ways to use the artificial intelligence. But the most recent thing that we've done is through our tool called Brokerage Plus, we're allowing you to take those signals and automate them so that you don't need to sit there and initiate the position. You could have it automatically get you into it. You could manually get into it and use Brokerage Plus to manage those positions. It's a really diverse tool. It does a variety of different things. You can create a strategy inside of Trade Ideas using our alert window, your own personal strategy, and automate that strategy with your own set of personal instructions. You can use this tool right here and incorporate it with any window that we have. If a signal is generated, a symbol is generated in one of these windows, you can automatically trade it using your own parameters that you've built into this right-click menu. And it's just a right-click away for it then to be populated inside of the Brokerage Plus window, which is a very sophisticated tab-oriented window, but it can work in a similar fashion to our Trade Ideas Pro, where you can have free-floating windows as well. A lot of different ways to use it.
And Brad,
yeah.
Let's make sure people know that, by the way, everything you're seeing in this window is actually live. And if you look at the very, very top corner, upper left-hand corner of the window where you see the B+, okay, it says Brokerage Plus is connected to Interactive Brokers. And by the way, of course, the market's closed. What that means is that this is live, and through Interactive Brokerage, Brad was actually executing real trades. We don't do paper, guys, because paper does not create technology. Everything we do for real. This is Brad's real P&L today with real dollars. By the way,
so to be fair, I do want everybody to know that I am using a development version of the software that we are anticipating releasing in about 2 weeks. It's a little, everybody, you do have access to Brokerage Plus as a premium subscriber. Well, as a former premium subscriber and as a current subscriber to Brokerage Plus, but you do not have current access to the Holly AI tab. That'll be coming here over the course of the next 2 weeks. It's something we have in the development lab, and we're actively working on enhancing the functionality, and really some great stuff is coming out of this, and we're really super excited to bring it to market.
Yeah, well, as we've said, we believe if there's going to be nobody that wants to trade equities, at least without this. So think about how quickly that 1,000 is going to go. We're grateful that we're in the position to be here, but this ain't no overnight success. This isn't a startup. We are here because we've put in the work, the 15 plus some years, and guys, we're a private company with zero investment. We did it all ourselves, without any deep state, without any venture capital, without any bullshit. Why does that benefit you? And why does it benefit you specifically right now? Well, because what Brad's showing you is most likely the catalyst for your favorite company, Trade Ideas, going public in 2020. And if and when we do that, people who are our subscribers will get allotted shares for being our subscribers, and the ratio is the longer you have been with us, the more shares you will get. So just an idea of us giving back to the people. When we, I mean, Brad, look, you know, I have to tell you honestly, you started and we were just kind of inching in. Then I sort of took over, and you know, when I took over, I was like, all right, it's big wave surfing. And then you've had it back now for like a few days, and you're going to be working on it for a little while now, probably before we release. Let me ask you, like, how do you feel like from when you started to now, like the transition, just from what your own experience?
Oh, my own. It's a fantastic way to trade, and I tell you, there are a couple interesting. I guess I should tell you why, right? There are a couple characteristics that really.
The charts, a chart, so people can see some of the other stuff too. Because again, I'm only telling you this because it's 2:40, and you know we don't have as much.
Yeah. So let me a couple of the things that I really find helpful and fascinating and interesting and enjoyable as I'm using it. One, the P&L graph. It's super. You know, we always look at a graph for a stock. Where has it been? We look at that to kind of get an idea of where we think it may be going. But the P&L is very much a similar thing, and it's really important to know. Have an idea of how that P&L has been affected, right? So you can see it visually. That's a real positive thing. The ability to see your time stops, to be able to see your stops prices that you have out there, to be able to set them on the chart, which is integrated here with the with Brokerage Plus. That to me is a great thing, and we're still enhancing some of that functionality as well. Another thing, this distance from the exit price, this particular data point right here, when I exit out of a position, this gives me a really, this way I never really take my eye off the ball. So it's a really great piece of functionality. To be able to, like I said, to be able to put a stop on a stock out here, you know, you can right click on it. Everything in Trade Ideas is that right click context sensitive menu. So if you're here in Brokerage Plus and on the positions tab, you get a very specific menu that allows you to set targets, put your stop order out there, modify your stop order. If you have a stop order out there, you can modify it visually on the chart, your targets, your orders that are out there. So we're incorporating a lot of great integration with the chart and Brokerage Plus. So I really like that. I mean, I think that's the main thing. You can really filter out this position monitor in a couple different ways. So one may be looking at just your open positions, yet another is looking at your closed, keeping that distance from the exit column, you know, visible and mindful. So, you know, a lot of different ways that you can shape the experience, but I think that's what I really like the most about it. Oh, and then the rapid execution, you know, when the market starts to rip or break down, the ability to, you know, do multi-select and then bail out or flatten the position, or if it starts to rip away in your favor and you want to really load up on more share size, hitting the double just allows you to very quickly do that. And yeah, so that's enjoyable as well.
The other thing that I want to say, and I probably use this one more, and probably sometimes to my detriment, but for the testing, certainly incredible, is the reverse. You know, this is the other thing that we talk about in terms of dexterity. You know, you have not been taught that you get in, you get out, and then like somehow it's like, okay, now go away. No, that's not the case. Imagine being in something, and when you're wrong, you can reverse in one button push. You know, you can go from a short position where all of a sudden you're negative to reversing it and going long, or vice versa. The idea is that it gives you the freedom, right, to not have to continuously manually, you know, blast your keyboard and try to figure things out. These are all things that you should have been able to do long ago, but we are the ones bringing it to you. Yeah, limit out, Brad. Explain what that is. I love that. I think Brad's mic. Brad, your mic.
Oh, sorry, I had it on mute. Yeah, so the limit out, this is a nice little piece of functionality that allows you to more easily get out of positions without necessarily hitting the bid or you know, bailing out of something with a market order. You can go ahead and put your limit out at the last price, or you can use a delta value on the last price. And then if you put all your limit outs out there and nothing gets hit, or you get hit on half of them, then you can just bail on the rest, and it does all work nice in tandem with each other.
It gives you, again, the instrumental dexterity, freedom to do things you would otherwise never be able to do. And I really want to reemphasize what Brad has said about distance since exit price. Now, JWN, Brad, let's pull that up so people can see. Okay, so you short sold it, right? And
yeah, so this right here, if let me zoom in so we can kind of take a look at the day. Right, so ended up short selling it, just bought it back. It was kind of a quicker trade.
But
as I held it through the end of the day, it would have been up 0.93 cents. But this was a short for me, right?
But I'm saying that this is where the reverse comes into place, where you can see like, oh, look at this. This short one is actually now going up, and going up a considerable amount. And that's the stuff that we're trying to show you, is that we're opening your eyes to things that you probably otherwise will not and would not have ever run into. Just so many more ways to extract opportunities out of the market. It's a freedom that people just can't fathom until they actually experience it. And we are the ones who are going to bring it to you. And it's like TikTok. You've got, 13 days? Very close, guys. So I think
let me get Dan's question answered here. He's been waiting super patiently, and it is the QA. So let me he's asking a question about looking at a portfolio of stocks, or just a group of stocks that you specify. So yeah, Trade Ideas, it can scan or alert you on every stock that's out there, but you can also use the technology to define a symbol list here. And if you just want to create a new list, just call it a new list. You can edit the list, and you can just copy and paste. So I just create a list right here. In order to incorporate that into, you can either use an alert window. In this case, I'll use a top list window. I'm going to start from scratch with no filters, but let's just go right to that symbol list. So let me add the existing symbol list. It's new list. I'll select it, and then I have to tell it what columns I want to look at here. So let's look at symbol, company name. I can grab a couple of them. So then it'll give me a top list with those symbols. If I had filters in it, say I had 100 symbols in that list, and I had filters looking for stocks that are 2 times relative volume, up 2% for the day, minimum price of 5. All of this stuff will then get incorporated into that particular top list, or your alert window if you want to look for stocks that are making new highs or crossing a resistance level or something like that. So I hope that helped, Dan.
No doubt. The idea is that you guys are taught, unfortunately, and we learned this from Bloomberg, by the way, who we used to want to work with. Now, not right now. But when Brad and I went to Bloomberg, we used to say, all right, guys, so we want to show you blah, blah, blah. We tell them something. And every one of their guys was like, what list are you looking at? And it never dawned on us why they were all about that, until we realized, oh, they don't really know, because Bloomberg, see, most things don't let you look at things based on data. You have to tell it where to look. Like, for example, I want to look at the S&P, and then you can do something with it. Or I want to look at my stock list and then do something with it. But we give you the freedom to say, look, I don't know. Show me the good stuff. Now, remember, you can filter it by market cap. Now, Brad, take this, or maybe make another window just to show the difference. And say, okay, I can have a window, and I can say, show me every window where the market cap is, let's say, above 5 billion. So there's your symbol list, right? But it's going to be adjusted as the data comes in.
Yep.
So that's really the difference. We symbol list based on filter data versus just traditional symbol list type stuff. Although you of course will have the ability to, like as Brad said, you can make any symbol list you want, virtually unlimited amount of symbol lists and work that way. But we give you more freedom, okay? And that's really, I think, what I wanted to make sure. And as people explore the technology, what they find out is that flexibility allows you to not have to worry about symbol lists because the filters do the symbol listing for you. Imagine your simple filter was everything that's, you know, market cap of $1 billion, average share volume of, let's say, 1 million for the last month, and up 2% today. Well, there's your symbol list. And that symbol list will be looking at that type of environment all day long. So, Brad, we have a question from Jerry in terms of a strategy guide for a beginner. So this kind of dovetails into the fact that, Jerry, we have the broadest set of educational curriculum in terms of our technology. The whole idea is that, first of all, there's no such thing as a strategy guide for beginners because everybody wants to make money, you know? And remember, we're helping you with the dexterity so that you're not gonna have to worry too much. But the key here is minimizing risk. There are trading ultimately, investing ultimately has to be made simple so that you can understand it. And I want to give it to you in the simplest way possible. There are 4 basic trading investing outcomes: large gains and small gains, which are both completely fine, okay? Then you have small losses, which are also fine, and then large losses, which make you never trade again. You only need to remove one, which is the large loss, okay? That's what we help you work with. Remove the large loss. That's really the ultimate beginner guide. But we have an educational curriculum on our website. Trading, there's a trading room and a university, and the trading room is one of the best places to get started, just to kind of feel out how other people in the marketplace interact. But all throughout the week, whether it's Monday, Tuesday, right now on the Q&A, and Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, there's a continuous stream of educational materials, and Brad's showing you where you can see that on the website. Additionally, there's videos. We have a whole YouTube channel where you can see virtually anything and everything that you need to be. We're a one-of-a-kind shop, and we're one of a kind because we never had to take other people's money. You know, the CEO is cool. The other guy that's on this thing is pretty cool.
I spent a little time today, Dan, on this page, and what a great job Rudy's been doing here, because he's really incorporated, you know, I always send people to our YouTube page, of course, with the full depth of videos. But if you go to this this page right here, our help page, and the university, and you just scroll down, there's just a wealth of information. Like first, you know, you can register for those webinars, but you know, all the videos in a nice synchronous order are here as well. So it's a great place to get started. And there's also extra training if you want to pay and hire one of our educators to train you personally on a one-on-one basis. You can always do that as well.
Again, nobody, and when I say nobody, zero companies can compete with what we do in the marketplace. And the only reason that we have not been bought out is because we don't want to be. Honestly, guys, we want to do it ourselves. We want to go public ourselves so that we can give back to the subscribers. Everything that we do ultimately is because of what you guys have done for us. And I'm very sincere when I say that without our subscribers, we'd be nothing. So we are eternally grateful, and we continue to work to innovate. There's no finish line on the innovation. This release of Holly, there's in my mind, Brad, and you and I, you know, in private meetings, we've said we probably have a good 3-year backlog of innovation. And obviously that stuff can adjust and change as market changes, but there's so many things, you know, including cryptocurrencies, futures, and somebody was saying Forex, other instruments, potential international partnerships that we would not want to do ourselves, but maybe partner with somebody who has a position to dominate their core market with our technology, things like that. So we are grateful for you guys being here and supporting us, and that's how we give back, is through this innovation. We risk our own money, we don't play around with paper money, and we do it day in, day out so that you can do it better when you're using the tech. That's really it. Brad, let's go back to the presentation so we can kind of finish up and tell people, All right, so the price of our software, remember I said that we give it away. We really do. And I mean, of course, obviously, it's not literal that we just give it away, but if you think about it on a per diem, right? What we charge for the premium product on a per day basis. Look at these prices, okay? Now, all of this is billed not on a daily basis, of course, monthly or yearly, but on a per day. Goodness gracious, right? And today, by the way, for being here, we have a promo code, Holly, all caps, plus 15% off the first month or a year of trade ideas. There's nobody that can afford to do this because nobody has the technology. It's a tech game. If you have the tech and you built your own tech, see, like, we don't have to pay other vendor, other than data, but there's no database that we pay for, no messaging that we pay for, no charting that we pay for. We did it all ourselves. Everything is ours. And soon people will be begging for it. So that's what you get here at Trade Ideas.
You know what we do different than Netflix, Dan?
Brad, I could tell you a few things, but you'd have to shut down.
Specifically, I just got to notice that they're raising their rates, right? They raised their rates, and the thing is, they raised it for every one of their subscribers. And we've been doing this for a little over 15 years, and while we have raised our rates, we've never raised our rates on any of our subscribers, right? So once you become a member of Trade Ideas, we don't jerk your rate around and raise it and manipulate it like that. We've got people. What's that?
It's everyone's grandfathered into the rate with which they started. Now, if you cancel, that's a different story. But we currently, in fact, I love this. Our longest subscriber pays $45 a month, and he's been with us it's weird that in the first month of our first year, we got the longest subscriber. So
I think it's a good way to do business, and that's how we do it. So
yeah. So whatever you're going to be paying, if you don't cancel, that's what you pay. Unlike evil Netflix. Okay, next slide. Barry, our trading room moderator, who is obviously member of our team. But he runs the trading room every day, Monday through Friday, morning to close. Fantastic way for people to window shop without any full-on commitment to needing to pay anything. You can just kind of lurk. And everybody likes some lurking. I lurk. Everybody lurks. Lurking is good, okay? So this is where we recommend you do it. Go to trade-ideas.com/trading room. Barry interacts there. There's great other people there, real. And we've been doing this for years. So you will find a meritocracy that has worked itself. And yeah, I don't really have to praise Barry much. He has the rep and he does what he needs to do. So this is where you should go. Oh, our girlfriend. So we have the winter test drive coming up. I totally forgot about that, Brad.
I like her.
Trade-ideas.com test drive, and for $8.88 you will have full access to everything at Trade Ideas for a week, right, Brad? Full week.
For a week, yes, 5 days.
And so I know, am I crazy? What is the date of it? Because I don't see the date. Or do we not have it yet?
No, we have it. It starts February 4th.
Ah, God, I can't read. See, this is why I'm the CEO, because I can't read. Nobody would hire me. Okay, starting February 4th, that's where our test drive is starting. Scott's probably shaking his head over there.
You know he is.
February 4th, 2019. Again, this is something that we've done. This is something that we've done a long time, and we've done really.
Well, we do it every quarter, right?
We do it every quarter. It works, and this is another great way to really take a look at what we do, and without all the risk of a full-on commitment. So I really suggest you do it, and you can see Holly warms up for the winter.
Cute hat.
Cute hat. Okay, myself and my good friend Jamie Hodge and various other guests, we do a podcast where we take the gloves off. Sometimes we go skinny dipping. I don't even know how to describe it, but we've told you some amazing.
It's not for the meek.
Not for the meek. Not for the faint of heart. It's kind of like the Joe Rogan podcast if Joe Rogan wasn't evil. Yeah, like that. Yeah. Please join us there. It's a lot of fun, and we do have guests. And by the way, we've called some amazing stuff there, like the slide of Facebook from 200 to 129. So there's a lot of information that you're going to get there. And sometimes we talk about releases before they come out. This is where, again, you get to hear it in a different tone. We hate the corporate life cycle, the bullshit suit and tie, pretend that everything's PC kind of stuff. And this is just yet another venue where we can be ourselves without all the filters. So please check us out. We'd appreciate it, and tell your friends. And of course, the post-B TFD Marketplace. What does that mean? It simply means that, I don't know, you may have been asleep for December, but there was kind of like this little thing called the gigantic slide down that we had. And by the way, right after that, a gigantic run up. These are the things that make people money. Like between December and January, if you caught the moves, you could have made 10 years worth of ROI. Totally serious. There was so much volatility, so much opportunity. Okay. And we want to help you understand that if you do not ever participate in the downside, well, you're simply missing out on that. In fact, I always like to bring up the fact that in 2000, the market peaked and it did not come back till 2017. For all the buy and holders, you were sitting there losing your ass for 17 years. Okay. That means if you came in a steadily 40-year-old into the market in 2000, getting ready to roll your sleeves up with the .com returns and buy yourself a TD Ameritrade Island. Now you're 57 going, what happened?
Or you're on Virgin Jet.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing. They don't tell you that part. They just tell you, buy and hold, give me your money. But this book helps you understand the mechanics of the downside, and it's not complicated. And that's another thing that Holly does by herself, and that automation is the freedom, because the dexterity to play the downside is taking care of people. I mean, Brad, I get chills when I say it. So anyways, this is just another thing that you should take a look at, and of course it is free. And by the way, I also press that every single time. Man,
where do I hit it?
No wonder Sean is a good affiliate. He gets that.
Force you right to the button.
He gets you right to the button. So while I am banned from all social media and Brad doesn't even try, we do have a very active social media presence. At Trade Ideas is our corporate account. At QuantBot is our favorite buddy, Jamie Hodge. And at Today Trader is one of our premier educators, Mr. Steve Gomez. We are active on Facebook. Please like us there. And of course, you can always call us and shoot us an email at info@trade-ideas.com. Mr. Scott Olson handles all of our marketing, and all the information that you get in your email comes from his side of the network, and we have a team there to help make sure that you're communicating properly. So that's really it, guys. We hope that you take a look, tell your friends, because we are changing the way things are done. And this is 2019. We had our best year by far in 2018. An overnight success of 15 years. And we're about to kick some more butt in 2019. We are not tired of winning. I hope you're not. Brad, are you?
Definitely not.
Scott, you're not tired of winning, are you?
Hello? No, not at all.
Yeah. Not at all. So, Scott, I think we're good. What about the recording for our...
That's got you covered. The recording should be fine, and we'll have that up later on tonight or tomorrow, and they get an email reminder from GoToWebinar about how to find it.
Okay, great. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we will see you again and again. Lots of curriculum without Dan and Brad all throughout the week. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Brad.
See you.
Have a good evening.
Have a good one.